Well, I think the biggest thing during the bye week was trying to get healthy, and we got a jump start on Virginia Tech. But I think we had 4 pretty good practices, and we'll go back today and have an abbreviated. Won't be like a Tuesday, Wednesday practice, but it'll be somewhere in between that and a Thursday, and then go out tomorrow and Thursday practice, and go up Wednesday and get ready to play the game. So we're still somewhat beat up, not as healthy as I'd like. Got a couple of guys that would probably be questionable, but we'll see by Thursday how it plays out.
Paul, do you approach the bye week any differently coming off a loss than you do if you were 7-0 going into the bye?
No, not really.
I mean, you wouldn't give them more days off if you were, like I said, 7-0 versus 3-4?
No, we took 2 days off because of the Thursday game, and that's usually about, we try to do that. I think that you need a break mentally as well as physically when you get this far in. They've been going pretty good every day since August. And, it's pretty much a 7-day-a-week deal with if you're not practicing, you're lifting and playing. I mean, they have a mandatory day off, but that's usually on Sunday after the game when you have a hard time getting out of the bed if you play. So it's, they get wore out and they get wore down mentally here too.
How would you compare their current quarterback with the quarterback you faced last year?
That's a good question. I mean, the first thought would be I think you'd say that he might not be. You wouldn't think that he would be as good a runner, but yet when he's had to run the ball, he's done really well. He's thrown for over 300 yards in both games he started passing. I think that he's a pretty good athlete, and he's an experienced guy, having played at Kansas. It's not like putting somebody in that hadn't played much. So he's got a pretty good idea of what they want to do, and, he gets them out of bad plays. And so he's played pretty good, actually.
In terms of playing Virginia Tech, these games have been very close over the years between the two y'all. It seems like they have one of the more kind of interesting matchups, and you enjoy the kind of chess match with Bud Foster. Kind of what have you seen from their defense this year in comparison maybe to the last few years?
Well, they're not as experienced as they've been in the past probably. They got a lot of young guys, but they've got some really good athletes, and they run well. Where they've struggled the most is on the back end against passing teams, really. Their run defense is still pretty good. But it's like any team with a bunch of young guys. They'll play really good for 3 or 4 series, and then they give up a big play. But they're talented, they're athletic, and they're getting better. And they've got the Walker kid who's probably he's as good as anybody in our league. He's played for a long time, and he's really a good defensive lineman. I've been impressed with the Mike linebacker, the Ashby kid. I think he's a good player. He's always around the ball. And like I said, they've got a lot of good young players.
With the noise up there and communication issues with calling plays, how did that work out last time you were up there?
Calling plays isn't a problem in the huddle. You may, it can affect you if you're trying to do a lot of check-in and sometimes with the count. But really the only guys who really got to hear are the 5 offensive linemen, and everybody else can look at the ball. Maybe the B-back, but you're tight enough close. It's loud. I mean, you'd have a hell of a time if you wanted to call plays from the line. So, but it's something we work on. I mean, we know what it's going to be. We can go on a silent count. We can do all those things if we have to do it.
In terms of kind of what do you want to, I guess, accomplish here? You're now sort of in the second half of the season, I guess, after the bye week.
I want to beat Virginia Tech. That's my goal. Want to get back, pull ourselves back even, and then we'll worry about going to North Carolina. What I want to accomplish is to go up there and not lay the ball on the ground on 3 consecutive plays and not beat ourselves and give yourself a chance to win. I think when we've done that, we're very competitive and can be a pretty good team. there's a small margin of error. And when you go and you have penalties and you lay the ball on the ground and you do those things, it makes it really, really hard to win.
With the fumbles, I mean, I know you guys sure work it to death. Is there a sense that it's getting better, or you see things in practice, or is it just one of those things that you just only are
Well,
going to know?
I was telling somebody today, one of the biggest misnomers, it's another myth that I guess if you say it enough, then it becomes true or whatever, but it's like the offense, you're going to fumble or whatever. I look at those 3 fumbles that we lost last Saturday, none of them had anything to do with the option offense. They weren't on the mesh, they weren't on the pitch, they were ball security issues. The first one, the offensive lineman knocked out from the side. And if you really slow it down and look at it, it was just kind of fluke. Some of those are going to happen. Now, you got to have the ball high and tight. We preach that all the time. We got to do a better job teaching it. The second one was poor ball security. We did not have the ball secured, and that comes back to coaching. And then the third one was a really young guy who was trying to make something happen, made about 5 guys miss, and their guy made a really good play, punched the ball. But it was on the kickoff return. So we work on ball security every single day. And having said that, we got to do a better job coaching it. If it's a problem, you've got to do a better job coaching it.
It's an odd stat that you guys are 4-1 against them on Saturdays, and they're 5-0 every other day of the week against you. Do you put anything into that, or is it just one of those strange things that have happened?
Wish we could play on Saturday. I don't know. I think that it's usually when they're on every other day of the week, it's really loud there. And I guess that we played them. I was trying to think. I think we played them. Wasn't it a night game when we went up there with Matthew Jordan? But maybe that was a Saturday night.
Saturday or was a late afternoon.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I remember one of the night games up there, I think, was with Tev, and we scored late. We were beating the slop out of him, and Josh broke his arm. And then they got ahead, and then we scored right at the end to tie it up, and then they returned the kickoff. I mean, those are the ones I remember. I remember the first time they beat us up there my first year in 2008, because we ended up tied for the Coastal Division, and we got hosed. We had stopped them down on their end, and they called us for a late hit out of bounds. Yeah. So it was those I remember. The others I couldn't tell you.
Kind of what do you think makes this kind of an interesting rivalry, especially the first maybe 8 or 9 years where you guys it was whoever won
I
the
think
Coastal?
that's what makes it a rivalry. I mean, I've been here 11 years. 8 of the 11 years, the team that's won the Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech game really has won the Coastal Division. That's the way it's been. You know, again, I just kind of deal with facts. I don't go off the revisionist stuff, but it's like they've won it 5 times, we've won it 3 times, and 3 other teams have won it once. That's the facts. So that's why it's probably been a rivalry.